Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it.
What's up, Coach? Are you looking for a way to elevate your off-season skill development? Well, look no further. With the Bology app, you can build a workout with our library or create your own content. Send that workout to your players, and then your players complete the workout by recording their session on their phones. You can monitor and encourage competition with our leaderboards for every workout. Bology offers player development solutions in the palm of your hands. Get your team started today by going to bology.com for more info.
So standards and pillars, I think everybody has them, but like we talked about earlier with how teams are reloading and having, like you said, you're going to lose 7. Like that's a lot of turnover from year to year, but it's becoming the norm. How do your standards and pillars kind of maintain or carry over from year to year?
So, I guess about 4 years ago, when I was at Talladega College, right? Really thinking about what those things are. And so we came up with kind of basically a paragraph about, right, who we are. So here we call it, right, the Langston way. So for us, we demand discipline, toughness, and passion. We're consistent, speak truth, and always put the team before ourselves. Accountable for our actions and make no excuses. And excellence is our standard. And so I think for us, like we talk about, right, being disciplined. And, I think that's a big reason that we've had the success we have. If you watch us on the defensive end of the floor, every single time, we have guys, right, chopping their feet and closing out an arm's length away and having active hands. And, and obviously I think discipline is something that goes far beyond just the basketball floor.
Yeah.
If you're a disciplined basketball team, I think that's something that it's in everything that you do, right? We talk about like having toughness and passion. I think that our saying is the toughest team always wins, and I believe that. And we were 35-2 this year, and the 35 games we were the tougher team, we won. The 2 that we weren't, we lost. And so and for us, while there is a physical element to toughness,
yeah,
I think so. Toughness is right. It's mental. And you look at like what Nick Saban says toughness is, right? He says like, what does it take to break you, right? And so like that's just our toughness. I think is a trademark, of our program. And
let me go a little. I want to go a little bit deeper into toughness because it's one of our 4 pillars here, and sometimes I feel like humility. I think a lot of our players, maybe because of maybe their faith background, maybe the way they were raised, like there's already a current of humility rolling through. So like that's something maybe guys already are, but toughness, I think, is something that we're aspiring to be. So like not your culture can sometimes not just be the things we already are, but the things that a place we want to get to. And I've asked people before with toughness, how do you get it? Because like we want tough players. We want to coach them tough. We want to be our program known for tough. Jay Billis wrote a whole book on toughness. So like how do you get there?
I really do. I think especially in today's like society, just in general, I think toughness is a skill, right? And I think it's something that you can develop. Like anything else, I think it's something that you have to be very intentional with. And like, I don't think you can pick and choose, right, when you're tough. And so for us, we talk about having that toughness, every single day. Because life is so much more about how you respond to things than what it is that happens to you. And so that's just, something that, is ingrained into everything that we do throughout the course of the season.
I think it's probably ties back into discipline. And what I love you said about discipline being on and off the floor. how often do we focus only on the discipline in the 94 feet? But I guess my question to you is, can you be disciplined on the floor and not off? Or or really is it you're probably not that disciplined on the floor either?
I think that's a great question. Yeah, I think if you're disciplined on the floor, but not off of it, I think it's going to show up
It's going to
on the
bleed over, right? Yeah.
in
Yeah.
biggest right when you need discipline the most. And so, for us, it's kind of crazy. Like, we expect our guys to be here, in the building 20 minutes before practice, right? Like, so if they're not in the building 20 minutes before practice, they're getting locked out. And I mean, they're not practicing for the day, and there's going to be severe consequences. I look about like all the team meetings, all the film sessions, like everything we had this year. I think early in the year we had guys like kind of late twice, and literally never again after that, right? And so, I think that, like it definitely. I think you're either disciplined or you're not.
And I love that because you could say maybe that's a rule, right? Like, and I think the less rules you have, the better. But the rules that you do have, they better cover a broad, range of things. And I think that rule of 20 minutes early, that probably sidesteps so many landmines. Because what's the issue with a lot of players is when practice begins, they're either physically or mentally not ready. When the meeting begins, they're not mentally checked in. Well, part of that is them having the time to get set up. So that rule of being there, I mean, I would imagine as a coach, once maybe they miss it a couple times and they get locked out, and like you said, they never do it again. But once that becomes just the norm, I would imagine that things run pretty smoothly because of that standard.
Yeah, for sure. I think so. Like we talk a lot about, right? Like the most average people in the world are expected to be on time, right? If something's at 8 o'clock, they're expected to be at 8 o'clock. Well, you're right. We're not trying to be average. Like I don't want anything to do with average. Right? Like that's the thought of that is disgusting to me,
Yeah.
right? And like if we want to try to be elite, like I think we have to do elite things. And while it's something again that doesn't directly pertain to basketball, I think that stuff matters.
I love that idea too of average, and you're right on the money. I mean, when my principal says we have a staff meeting at 7:15, most of us show up 2 minutes before it starts. and and if I'm being honest, I think I was right at 7:15 the other day. But there is this idea of, what does being there early, what does that show? What message are you sending? What message are you sending just showing up right before? I love the idea of taking, those rules or standards, but making it way beyond basketball, connecting it to something later on in their life.
Yeah, and I do. I think right if you really care about people as a coach, like that's your job to hold them accountable. And it's right going through the process. It's not a lot of fun. Um, you know, but I think again, obviously we're trying to win basketball games, but more than anything, right? Like I know our job is right as a college coach is to build better men, right, and prepare them for life,
Yeah.
after basketball.
And you use the game to do that, which is a great tool for it. What are some other things that a lot of people or programs maybe do that's average that you feel like you guys are special above average at? Because and before you answer that, I think that's a good question for all of us to ask. What do we do within our daily routines as a program that's average that everybody does, and highlight those things and maybe look for ways to enhance them?
Yeah, no doubt. So a little thing that we do that I think again is, I think it's worth 6 to 8 points every game we talk about this, right? Is our bench energy.
Hmm.
Like I think anybody that watches us play would say like, our bench is absolutely electric, right? And obviously I don't think that's by chance. Like so early in the year when we, even like guys' body language when they're out in practice. Like, man, we
Hmm.
expect you to be into practice. We got to hear you. We expect you to be encouraging. Because how many practices do you go to where the guys that aren't in the drill are just standing over there, just
That's
right?
average. Yeah.
Yeah, having a good time.
Yeah.
I mean, we watch film of our bench early in the year, and
Mm.
guys know if they're not bringing energy, regardless of how many minutes they're playing on the bench, that hey, man, one, you're not going to play, and two, you're probably not going to be with us um, very long. And so I think that kind of leads into something else I think we do really well. We take a lot of transfers, but we kind of beat it into their head that they're going to be unselfish. And so, like I hear coaches all the time say, man, like worry about recruiting, 11 guys that are talented enough to start. And I'm like, no, absolutely not. Like we're going to make this work. Right. Like, we're really upfront and honest with guys about our expectations for being unselfish. But like, man, we don't have guys complain about minutes. We don't have guys complain about shots, about what position we play. Like that really is like who we are. And so I think we get guys to buy into, all the team concept a lot better than, I think most places do.
That's interesting. I think like at the college level, you get what you recruit. Like you're talking about recruiting unselfish guys that get that. That's what you get. People that are just looking for the best at whatever cost. Like you get that too, and everything that goes with that. At the high school level, we get what we reward. We get what we expect from them. Jason Akers at OBU said the little things are the big things. When you're talking about that bench energy, you're right on the money. That just doesn't happen by accident.
Yeah, no. And again, like, and, to go along with what you're saying, I think as a coach, you get what you tolerate.
Mm.
And, it's something we talk all the time about with our guys. And you know what? Hey, we're a program. We do take transfers. We do give guys second chances. We want Division I players at our level if we're going to have a chance to win the national championship. I think we signed 8 guys this year. And 6 of them were guys that had averaged 8 or more points per game at whatever Division I they were at. And so, like we do want good-hearted guys, but a lot of our guys come in and they're not unselfish. No one's ever demanded that out of them. And so it is a daily process. And again, like early in the year, it's not very fun, right? I think getting some of that stuff corrected. But I believe this, with my whole heart. Like I think as a coach, getting guys to be unselfish is the number one way that you can really prepare them for life, right? I think it's going to make guys a better husband. It's going to make you a better dad. It's just going to make you a better member of society one day. And so, man, I look at our team this year and I'm extremely proud of, of how our guys bought into it.
To that point, you mentioned having that meeting early on when you're recruiting them, and you set that expectation. Are there some things throughout the year that you do when inevitably the me monster does start to come out within a player, within a group of players within your team? And just because you're winning doesn't mean that doesn't happen, right? Some people think that when you lose, that's when all of the bad habits or attitudes come out. I think it's we're human. All the time we're comparing and so what are some things that you do throughout the year to keep that level of unselfishness high with your team?
Like what would Pat Riley call it? The disease of me.
Yeah.
Right. And
yeah.
It can definitely pop up when you're winning games as well as losing. Our best player this year, he was a conference player of the year, first team All-American, and kind of had one of those moments. We pulled him out of the game early in the second half, and he kind of snapped back, and we sent him to the locker room for the rest of the game. In a close conference. And so, like our guys know, right? Like our culture to me, it's like it's sacred, right? Like if you mess with our culture, like guys know that there's going to be a price to pay, and so I think we're relentless in holding guys accountable to, what that culture is.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.